Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I am Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
How's it going, Dan?
It's going good. I was wondering, did you want to talk about baseball?
Hey, let's talk about baseball,
Yeah,
Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball. And there's a lot of interesting things going on. First off, let's touch, since we last talked, we've had two managers fired.
Yep. For some teams that are doing quite poorly. I mean, to be frank.
Well, the Bud Black let go by the Rockies in his ninth season as manager. I mean, that was not a surprise. I mean, it is because he's Bud
No,
Black, but their record. I mean, there's some complacency going on in Colorado. Look at their record; it's pretty atrocious.
it's at 7-33 through 40 games. I mean, that's like 25% of the season. We're about
Yep,
25% of the way through the season. They're not even on pace to win 30 games. Ugh.
it is sad. I think it was the right thing to do to shake it up. Bud Black, of course, has had some success as a manager in the past, and then
Hmm.
the Pirates fired their manager. Do you remember his name?
Shelton?
Shelton. Yeah, Shelton out as the manager, and Don Kelly. He's like a hometown boy. Um, in the Pittsburgh area in the organization. He takes over as manager. Both they're 14 and 27, so not much better. And there's a team that people were expecting to contend.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Pirates have been pretty bad for a while now, and they have all these great draft picks, and it seems like draft picks are getting accelerated through the minors quicker than ever, at least the good ones, the
Yeah,
high ones.
agreed.
And so you're kind of like, where are all these guys? Like, why don't they have all these young kids coming up to help? Why do they not really become what they're projected to become?
And they have one of the best pitchers in Skeens on their in the rotation, so they are 14 and 27. They also fired their manager. So let's start in with the league leader in wins. The You guessed it, the Detroit Tigers. The major league leader in
Yeah.
wins, the best record in baseball, 26 and 15. They're 7 and 3 in their last 10. Um, just a great start, 25% through the season. So they're on pace for over 100 wins, and things are looking good in Detroit.
Yeah, the American League leader, because I think the Dodgers have 27 wins.
The
Dodgers are,
Dodgers, you are correct. They're 27 and 14. Thanks for correcting me. The American League leader. And Detroit, a good last 10. Cleveland sticking with them, 23 and 17, 2.5 games back, 6 and 4 in their last 10. KC playing well, 7 and 3 in their last 10, 24 and 18, 2.5 back also. And then Minnesota, 8 and 2 in their last 10, 5 games back, 21 and 20, above 500. They're trying to stick in it. So you got
hey,
to give it to Minnesota. They
yeah,
started badly.
Minnesota's on an 8-game winning streak. So they were 13 and 20. Now they're 21 and 20. That's pretty good right there. That's a
That
good
is
run.
great. An 8 game winning streak. I'm all pulling for them to get to double digits without a doubt. And then rounded out, of course, is the White Sox at 12 and 29. The next manager on the chopping block, I don't know, but they're not having a good season at all. We'll move to the AL East because that's where your favorite team is. The New York Yankees lead with a 23 and 17 record. Boston, they're 5 and 5 in the last 10. Boston 5 and 5 in less than 10 at 22 and 20, just 2 games back.
Yeah, Boston, they're just kind of treading water. They really haven't put it together yet. Um, they just haven't put it together. I mean, really, I bet you they're like 500 through that whole stretch since the beginning of the year, regardless of how you could break the games down. It's
Absolutely. Yeah, they're a
their
500
pitching
team.
hasn't been good. Yeah, their pitching hasn't been good. Then when their hitting is, and their hitting hasn't gotten the big hits when their pitching came through, and then their bullpen has let down
Bullpen
the
has been
starters.
really bad. I've noticed that from being a
Yeah,
box score looker. Bad bullpen.
yep, it
Yeah,
has
they're
been.
doing bad, and Toronto's right behind them, 1 game back at 20 and 20, which Boston was 20 and 20, but they're on a 2 game winning streak. They're at 22 and 20. Tampa Bay, 18 and 22, 5 games back. As usual, Tampa Bay sticking around. And Baltimore, 4-6 in their last 10, like Tampa Bay is, and they're 15-24, 7.5 games back. Baltimore not playing well.
Now, Baltimore is definitely not playing well, but I think we talked about this last week. Their window, they might have messed it up. We'll see.
I
Hopefully they can
Yeah, no,
rectify it.
I think the
But
window for this year is shot, to be honest with you. That's my opinion. We'll go to the AL West to finish the AL, and Seattle was only 5-5 this week, but they're still on top because of the rest of the league was the same or worse. They're 22-17 in first place. Houston 2 games back, 1 game above 500 at 20-19. They were 4-6 in the last 10.
the Mariners really haven't been playing great by any means, but they just, I'm not that they're playing great regardless because they're on a 3-game losing streak, but I'm just saying even the games when they win, I don't know if it's believable, but it's enjoyable. It's always good to see your favorite teams win baseball games.
Absolutely, Steve. That is a secondary team for you, or the Seattle Mariners. What's it feel like the fans in Seattle? Do they are they liking this team?
Yes. I mean, there's definitely people still care about baseball. People like baseball. Everyone will talk about, hey, I'm going to see a game on Monday, or hey, I got tickets to go to the game on Friday night. And so you do hear that quite a bit. So yeah, they're definitely, yeah, Seattle, the Mariners do well here for sure.
That's great to hear, actually. Houston, as I said, 2019, 2 games after the A's. Athletics are 21-22 games back also. Playing well, they're 5-5 in their last 10. Texas, 20-21, 3 games back. And then Los Angeles Angels, 16-23, 4-6 in the last 10, like Texas. And they're 6 games back, and they're trending downward. But that division, Seattle, Houston, the Athletics, and Texas are all 3 games within each other.
Yeah,
So
tight
25% of the season is pretty all wide open still.
indeed.
Let's head to the National League because we're done with the American League going over the standings, and we're going to go to the best team in baseball. Corrected, Steve correctly told me, and is true. 27-14. They're 6-4 in their last 10, and that's the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Dodgers are deep. They got a lot of good players.
Yeah, they do. We went from the Angels to the Dodgers there, and but 7-3 in their last 10, hanging tough. The Padres 25-14, 1 game behind. It's nice to see them playing so well. They're off to a very surprisingly strong start, playing at a 641 clip.
They've been getting great pitching. I
Yeah,
mean,
they have been.
they got a lot of good pitchers in that on that team. Their bullpen is good and deep, and
They
they've got like 3 starters who are doing well.
Yeah, they have 3 quality starters, and I have a couple friends who are from San Diego, and they're very high on this team. Another team I think with a great fan base.
Yeah, underrated probably.
I would say so. But San Francisco 5-5 in the last 10 to fall behind a little bit, only 3 games back. They're 24-17. Arizona 1 game above 500, 21-20, 6 games back, and already out of it. Colorado 7-33, 19 and a half games back here, 25% of the way through the season.
20 games back, basically, just 40 games in. That is
Ah,
crazy.
that is crazy. I feel bad. We know some Rocky fans. Let's head to the Central because those Cubbies just kind of treaded water this year, going 5-5 in their last 10, 23-18. Um, and the Cardinals, St. Louis, 22-19, but 8-2 in their last 10, and now they're only 1 game behind the Cubs.
Yeah, the Cubbies have definitely slowed down. They had got off to that great start, and they've tailed off quite a bit. And St. Louis has turned it around because
It
they got
has.
they were the opposite. They got off to the slow start.
They did, and Milwaukee 20-21, 3 games back, 1 game below. They're just kind of treading water. They're 4-6 in the last 10. The Reds 3-7 in the last 10, 20-22 at 3.5 games back. And then the Pirates just changed managers, 14-27, 9 games back, 2-8. That's what brought on that
You
managing firing in their last 10.
when you look at that run differential in that
Minus
division, the NL
56.
Central. Yeah, I mean, and all the others are like plus 50, plus 24, plus 24, plus 3, and then minus 56.
That's
Ugh.
really harsh. And but sadly, if you just scroll down and up, you can see Colorado's differential is negative 128. I mean, that's their run
Minus
differential.
3 games, 3 runs a game differential.
That's just
Oh,
crazy. And then we go up, and another team up here we'll go over in a second has a bad two teams actually. The Mets lead the East 5-5 in the last 10, but they are ahead of the Phillies, who are 7-3 in their last 10 at 24-16, 1.5 games behind the Mets at 26-15. Phillies are playing well. I'm happy with the team. Schwarber's been really hot. I got him in a couple fantasy teams, and he's just worth everything I've paid for him.
yeah, no, the Phillies, I mean, they should be right there. I mean, I
Yeah,
still look at that division and it's probably theirs. I would say they're the favorites. Atlanta, depending on health. I don't really know what's going on with the Mets, though they were in the playoffs last year too, right? I
yeah,
thought
and they
they
got that
were.
guy named
Yeah.
Soto. Remember, they got yeah,
Yeah, they did
they
get him.
signed that guy. But the Phillies, listen, it's pitching, pitching, pitching. I mean, they are getting some great hitting. Harper hasn't really caught fire, but he's playing well. Getting some good play from Stott. Remuto's starting to wake up. Schwarber, as I said, has been hot, hot. So it's been good. The pitching, though, I mean, Wheeler and Nola, good enough, and Sanchez, and then Ranger Suarez just threw a great game, his second game
Yeah.
back. It's pitching, pitching, pitching. The bullpen's been great. Alvarado at the end. Romano actually finally threw a good inning. I shouldn't say that, but he has been up and down this year. So they're coming together. The mid bullpen's been great. I'm a Philly fan. That's why I ponder on about them a bit longer than I should. And bringing up the Braves as you did a second ago, they're now 19-21. They're 6.5 games back. They're only 5-5 in the last 10. But Steve, weren't they? What was it? 1-8.
I think 1-8 to start the season.
So look at that.
Maybe 0-8.
Okay, let's say they were 0-8. They're now they're now 19-13 since then, and they are in the thick of it. They're 6.5 games back. They're obviously trending forward. 5-5 in the last 10. They stayed afloat. The Nationals is 17-24, 9 games back, and then Miami, 10 games back, 15-24 is their record. And those are guys I want to bring up run differential. Nationals negative 54 in the run differential,
Hmm.
and Miami negative 69.
Yeah, that's that ain't gonna get it done.
That's second worst in the majors. Absolutely, that's not going to get it done at all. And so, I mean, obviously, there's a three-team race in the East. I'm feeling for my Phillies. Anything surprising snapping out at you when we talk about run differential or how teams are playing?
Um, just I guess the Royals have been playing really good. I think they're like 15-5 over their last 20, which is
Right?
obviously very good. And they're 6 games over 500, but they're just plus 6.
Yeah.
So, not really sure. But and then the Blue Jays are 20-20, dead 500, but they're minus 22 in runs.
Right. How are they even
So,
500? They're minus 22 in runs scored and runs
I mean,
against.
that means a couple of their losses were beatdowns,
Well, just
maybe a
think about that,
handful.
Steve. Just think about that right now. Boston's 22-20 and Toronto's 20-20. Actually, Boston was 20-20. They own a two-game winning streak. So, but they're 22-20 right now, and the run differential is great. I mean, between
Yeah,
them, it's a
plus 29.
51 run difference, right? They're plus 29, Red Sox, negative 22, the Blue Jays. And yet, they're really just one game apart in the standings.
So does that basically mean like the Red Sox are in their wins? They're having more big wins, and the Blue Jays are having more big losses. Is that? I mean, that's probably too simplified, right?
I would think that is part of the soup that you're making and stirring up. That would definitely
Yeah.
be part of it. I think there are probably other aspects also, possibly that adds to that. But it's interesting, Boston, losing in certain fashions, and the same with Toronto. But it's just an interesting observation. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. I mean, I am surprised by a few things. I think the Tigers are playing fantastic. At 26 and
Oh
15.
yeah.
I confuse them as the best team they were last week, but they're right behind the best team in the American League, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. I'm just very surprised by the Tigers. Their run differential is plus
Absolutely.
72, which is fantastic. Just like it's in Yankee territory. The Yankees are plus 75. The Evil Empire.
Yeah.
As you expect them to be, and they're a great team. I like the Yankees roster, and but they're plus 75. Detroit's plus 72. Very impressive. Also impressive that the Cleveland's only 2.5 back, um, especially since their run differential is negative 17.
Negative 17.
Right, and
That
they're
means,
two and a
yeah.
half games back.
Woo. I know. Yeah.
Uh,
Interesting.
89 run difference, but only 2.5 games
Between,
back. Yeah,
yep.
between Detroit and Cleveland in first and second. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. So I guess there is a bunch of craziness going on.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to look into like possible shutouts, possible blowouts. What contributes to, Cleveland's winning a lot more close games that, I don't know. Very
Yeah.
interesting though. KC, like you said, 2.5 games also back. So they all surprise me. It's good to see Seattle playing as well as they are because I have a lot of friends in Seattle and I'm a Mariner fan, by proxy and there was hope this year, but I think 25% of the way through the season to be in first place is feels good.
It does feel good. But also, one thing about Mariners fans too, they're not delusional. They know like this franchise has never been a legitimate contender. But also like I mean seriously, I think 4 of the past 6 or 7 years they've been eliminated from the playoffs in the final weekend of games. Like
Right.
either eliminated on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. So and that's been going on for a while too, because there was even one, I think it might have been Felix Hernandez's last year. They went into that weekend where they needed to win 2 out of 3, and then when they lost that second game on Saturday,
Uh,
and yeah, I mean, yeah, and they pulled him early so he could get a standing ovation. So yeah, the Mariners have been close a lot recently as like one of those just a few games over 500 teams. But so
well,
yeah, the fan base is kind of like, is it ever really going to happen?
they're wounded. Sure, they're a little war wounded through the past seasons because it keeps going that way. But here's the thing: when I look at the AL West, I see Houston 2 games back, the A's 2 games back, Texas 3 games back. It's really open, but I don't really see anyone take charge. Texas may be the best team on paper. Um, the A's play in a minor league field, I believe, so that's going to be interesting in the summer. But it's great to see Seattle doing well. And then real quick in the NL East, if you're a Met fan, you got to be happy. At least you're in first place. You spent some money this winter. Atlanta has to be happy the way they came back. Philly fans are happy. Cubbies were expected to be doing this, so they're happy right now, I think. And then, of course, Dodgers, where they should be. But San Diego over
Yeah.
extremely happy about how they're playing. Same with San Francisco. Real happy with the way they're playing.
One thing, putting it all in that context, I would think St. Louis has to be ecstatic because they actually
Absolutely.
shaved like $40 million off their payroll. They were trying to move Arenado to save even more, but they couldn't get it done. And, they're actually a game out of first, you
Yeah,
know?
and that 8 game win streak, as you speak of, and so that is very exciting. And if you're Arizona, 1 game above 500, you're thinking, why am I in this division? Um,
Yeah.
because they're playing well. They are playing well enough to stick within it. American League, National League standings, right there for you. Steve. One thing I'm always interested in is stats. Anything that jumps out at us because right now we can times 4 the stats and a rough look at what they could finish at.
Yep.
Right, we're like 25% through the season. So Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber have 14 homers, so they're on pace for
Yeah.
56
Fif-
homers.
Sure. 56 homers.
So to be
And
logical, it's not going to be exactly. They're on pace for over 50.
and right now there's 13 players on pace for 40 home runs.
That's right.
That's
And
kind
then
of cool.
that is cool. And the ones that follow are Otani, Raleigh, Suarez with 12, Carroll with 11, Abreu, Crow Armstrong, Grisham, Rooker, Torkelson, Tucker, and Wood from the Nationals, all with 10, all on pace for over 40 home runs. That's a lot of homers.
Yep. And Wilyer Abreu from the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah. So, my question to you is how many of these people are going to finish with that many
Um,
homers?
well, Judge is Schwarber for sure. Otani,
Sure.
that'd be great with Raleigh. I don't know. Can I get on board with Raleigh? I don't know.
For
Kyle
he's on
Tucker,
pace
I
for
think,
48.
yeah.
And I'm always gonna adjust our little look and guess on the 25% through the season. He's on pace for 48, so like 45. Will he hit 45?
I wouldn't even bet for 40.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
just
either.
think it's been a
Suarez.
really good run.
Suarez,
No, yeah,
48,
no, he's not hitting 40 home runs.
45. He's not gonna hit 40. Suarez not gonna get 40. Carroll, he's on pace for 44. That's not gonna happen.
Nope.
And then
I think Kyle Tucker will hit 40.
I do agree that Torkelson, no. Rooker, possibly. Crow Armstrong and Grisham, no. Well, let's talk about Abreu. I've had him in fantasy. He's a great player. He's 25 years old, Steve. He's on your favorite team. He's batting 279 with 10 homers, 26 ribbies. His ops is 931. I mean, he's playing really well.
Wilyer Abreu was a Houston Astros prospect that, like 4 years ago, at the trade deadline, the Red Sox traded catcher Christian Vasquez to the Astros for two prospects. One of them was Wilyer Abreu. And
Wow.
and then Christian Vasquez, I mean, he did win a World Series as the backup catcher for the Astros. And then he was a free agent and the Twins signed him and he's been below average since. But that trade worked out brilliantly for the Red Sox.
What
I
about
mean, Abreu
Emmanuel
for
Valdez? Did he ever? I don't think he ever amounted to anything.
he actually he did okay, but he's like a second baseman,
Is he
a
still in the system?
journeyman
Is
type
still
of
in the
guy.
system?
I think he is still
Huh,
in the system,
interesting.
unless they might have traded him for something else.
Right. Absolutely. And then, real quick, another thing it's always fun to look at because we're times forming 25% through the season. O'Neill Cruz, who just got injured, I believe, with 16 stolen bases.
Dang,
Yeah,
16. On pace for over 60 stolen bases.
yes, sir. He's on pace for over 60. I believe he just had an injury alert possibility, which, is never good. He's only batting 238 this year, though. Senator Robert for the White Sox. We talked about him before last week. He's batting 186, but he's got 15 stolen bases.
Yeah,
I
that's
could
not
see him
good.
having over 50 though.
Sure. I
He's
mean,
on pace for
regardless of
60.
how, yeah, and regardless of how bad he hits,
Yeah.
the White Sox got nothing. He's like one of their best players, so he's gonna play.
He'll get traded. De La Cruz, I can totally see having 60 stolen bases.
Yeah, he should have 60 stolen bases every year for probably the next 4 years, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. And then, uh, I always forget he's a stolen base guy, but Witt so far in his career has had 30, 49, 31. Those are his 3 seasons in the majors. So he's great. I mean, he's 14 right now. He's on pace for over 40 to 50.
Yeah, 2 years ago, like when you said he had 49, so he just missed going 30-50 that year.
And
So
Bobby Witt
he did.
Jr. Yeah, he just missed it. Bobby Witt Jr. And as a friend said, one of the bigger name juniors in sports, if you think about it.
Well, yeah, I think he might be the greatest junior since Ken Griffey Jr.
I think you could be correct. So that's basically baseball. Steve, any final thoughts about the season as we're 25% through?
Um, no, I mean, I'm just looking forward to, we got like just a few more weeks of basketball and hockey playoffs, and then we get into the real baseball time of the year, which is always very enjoyable.
Yeah, summer baseball is always intense. It's hotter. It gets a little deeper. The season gets a little deeper. The numbers get a little richer. I'm Dan O'Day. That's Steve Romano. This is Fantasy Baseball, 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 and that's Major League Baseball.